During the Great Depression, warmth was as precious as food. Families in small homes, shanty towns and rural homesteads faced freezing nights with little fuel to spare. Coal and firewood were expensive or, sometimes just unavailable. And keeping stoves burning constantly was impossible for many households. Out of this necessity, a deceptively simple innovation emerged, the pot heater. Unlike modern space heaters, it was not powered by electricity or advanced fuels. It relied on clever physics, resourcefulness, and materials already at hand to provide warmth for hours with minimal input. The pot heater was an unheralded survival tool, keeping families safe and comfortable through nights that could otherwise be bitterly cold. In the 1930s, most homes relied on small wood or coal stoves. These stoves produced heat efficiently while burning, but as soon as fuel was exhausted, temperatures dropped quickly. Families often rationed fuel to the point of discomfort, and refueling late at night was inconvenient or unsafe. The need was clear, a method to retain heat after the fire had died, without wasting the scarce fuel supply. The pot heater addressed this problem by storing energy in a controlled way that could be released gradually overnight. The core principle of the Depression-era pot heater was thermal mass. Heavy, dense materials absorb heat and release it slowly. Metal or ceramic pots filled with sand, stones, or even water were placed on top of a small stove or near the fire while it burned. As the flames subsided, the mass retained heat and radiated it back into the room over several hours. Unlike an empty pot, a weighted and filled vessel could maintain warmth long after the fuel was gone. Families discovered that arranging multiple pots strategically improved efficiency, turning one small fire into a night-long source of comfort. Water was often used inside these pots to enhance heat retention. When heated, water absorbs a significant amount of energy without increasing in temperature rapidly, then releases it slowly as it cools. A family could fill a metal pot with water, heat it on the stove, and then place it on or near the embers. Overnight, the water released warmth into the surrounding air, slightly increasing humidity, which honestly made the cold more tolerable. This method effectively turned a cooking vessel into a passive radiator, demonstrating early principles of thermal energy storage. Positioning mattered, Folks would stack or cluster their pots around the stove, sometimes lining the lower part with towels or a bit of cloth to help insulate it, while still letting the top radiate heat out into the room. And, some households would go so far as to use bricks or stones as extra thermal mass, surrounding the pots to soak up and store even more energy. At night, curtains were drawn to stop heat escaping through the windows, and beds or chairs were often arranged close to those radiating surfaces. These practices might seem simple, but they were surprisingly effective, really showing a sharp understanding of how energy flows, all without any formal engineering training. Alternative methods, like leaving stoves burning all night or piling on extra blankets, were either heavy on fuel or, honestly, just not that effective. The pot heater, on the other hand, conserved fuel while still giving off a steady warmth. Unlike fireplaces, which, lose most of their energy straight up the chimney, a system using thermal mass brought the heat right back into the room. And, unlike those rare and costly electrical heaters, the pot heater made do entirely with what was already on hand. Its real strength was in its simplicity and a bit of clever physics, not fancy technology. Modern survivalists and off-grid enthusiasts, they can use these same old principles, you know. Just place heavy ceramic or metal pots, filled with water or stones, near a small fire or wood stove. It's important to make sure the setup is good and stable so nothing tips over, and avoid putting anything flammable right up against the hot surfaces. You can insulate around the base if needed, to slow down heat loss into the floor. This method can keep things warm for hours without burning extra fuel, making it handy for camping, cabin stays, or even emergency situations when the power's out. The Depression-era pot heater, you know, really demonstrates how careful observation, material understanding, and just a bit of simple physics can solve some pretty complex problems. It required no industrial innovation or specialized tools, just attention to how heat behaves and what resources are at hand. Families who mastered the pot heater, well, they gained comfort and safety without any additional cost, highlighting, I suppose, the real value of ingenuity when times are tough. The pot heater is a reminder, honestly, that survival doesn't always depend on modern devices. By observing how materials store and release energy, individuals can create effective, low-resource solutions. Whether it's for historical interest, a bit of backyard experimentation, or real-life preparedness, this method remains a model of practical thinking. In an era of rising energy costs and, you know, the occasional grid failure, the pot heater offers lessons in efficiency, resilience, and creativity. Its principles can be applied in emergency kits, winter camping, or off-grid living, proving that knowledge developed under necessity all those decades ago is still, well, relevant today. If you appreciate survival techniques born from historical necessity and want to learn practical solutions that honestly still work, subscribe to Backyard Wisdom and share this guide with others who value resourcefulness and ingenuity. The Depression-era pot heater was simple, effective, and timeless, and it remains a powerful tool for anyone facing cold nights without abundant fuel.